10 of the most underrated fragrance releases of 2025. Hey guys, I'm George, the Nice Medic Gentleman, and it's time for your dose of some fragrance content. It's also time for another video where I'm going to try to summarize a bit of my fragrance journey of 2025 throughout 2025. This month of December will be a busy month. In this month I'm going to show you a lot of different content, but one thing that I really wanted to make, a video that I really wanted to make, was about the most underrated fragrance releases of 2025. Now, most of the fragrances that I'm about to show you in today's video have seen at least somewhat of a coverage, but not enough in my opinion to basically, to make it honest or true to their, the way that they smell, how they perform, and all that good stuff. Now, in today's video, I'm actually going to show you a total of 11 fragrances, but 2 of them are pretty similar to each other, so that's why I'm going to count them as one. And I'm going to start with something from the brand of Rasasi that's called Rasasi Hawas Elixir. Now, it's not that this fragrance didn't get no attention at all, but in my opinion, it didn't get enough attention. Now, this is a clone of Le Male Elixir, the original Le Male Elixir from the brand of Jean-Paul Gaultier, but by the time that this one got released, we already had a few good clones like, let's say, Lattafa the Kingdom and Lions Club, or what was it, Club de Nuit Lionheart from the brand of Armaf, and both of those scents actually got a lot more attention, whereas Hawas Elixir was a little bit left sort of on behind or to the side. Yes, this came out later than those two other scents from the Middle East, but in my opinion, this as a scent, as how close it feels to the original one, is actually the best or the closest smelling clone to Le Male Elixir that you can get. And it deserves a little bit more attention for the quality, for the performance, and for everything like that. And this also is pretty affordable. It's around, at least where I live, this is cheaper than both Lattafa the Kingdom and Club de Nuit Lionheart. And although I really like Club de Nuit Lionheart, I think that Hawas Elixir basically deserves a little bit more attention, a little bit more recognition. The next one that I'm going to show comes from the brand of Armaf, and it's called Infinity. Some places have it selling as Infinity Silver. This is heavily inspired by a discontinued original scent from the brand of YSL, which is called L'Homme Ultime. And this again, just like Hawas Elixir, got some coverage, some people were talking about it, but I think it didn't get enough credit for what it does. First of all, this smells very close to the original scent, but even if you don't want to count that or don't want to pay attention to that, just to take this one on its face value or the way that this smells on its own, this is such a nice, easygoing and such a versatile masculine scent that I just think this deserves more recognition. It's warm, it's spicy, it's fresh, feels a little bit youthful, although you can wear this one, doesn't matter of your age. You can dress it up, you can dress it down. A very, very nice fragrance with good quality, and at least from my experience, very decent performance as well. Overall, I just think this deserves a little bit more attention. Next, I'm going to go over the brand of French Avenue. French Avenue have, I don't know, like released maybe 100 products this year, maybe even more. And a lot of them got a lot of attention, some of them didn't get enough attention in my opinion, and the 3 that I'm about to show you, in my opinion, just didn't get enough attention for what they offer as a scent, as a quality and all that stuff. The first one is called Opus Magnum, and this one is inspired by raw tobacco from the brand of Amouage. And although this is not a mass-pleasing scent, in fact this is very dark, very smoky, very heavy, leathery, with a strong tobacco note, and it's not an easy wear overall. As a scent, this actually gets surprisingly close to that original fragrance from the brand of Amouage. It's very strong, lasts for a long time, has a bit of a floral touch as well. Probably one of the reasons why this didn't get enough recognition is because of its dark and challenging scent profile. But if you're looking for a clone of raw tobacco, then I don't think there's any better option, at least out of the Middle East, than Opus Magnum. Really strong stuff, slightly fresher than the original, slightly more wearable than the original, still on its own a very dark and sophisticated scent. But again, if you're looking for a clone of raw tobacco, definitely check this one out, because I just think it deserves more attention than it got. The next one has a very interesting shape, bottle design, especially the cap, and it's called Thunder. This one is for those of you who like the note of iris. This was released a few months ago, and apart from a few creators, I don't really saw a lot of people talking about this one. And although iris-based fragrances in general are quite popular, with a lot of the viewers out there, a lot of the perfume enthusiasts. This for some reason didn't get enough recognition. This is not as powdery as something that you'll find in, let's say, Dior Homme Intense, but definitely if you love the note of iris, this is a fragrance that you should try. I'm not saying you should buy it directly, but at least try it because this smells really nice. In a way, this also reminds me quite a bit of things like Valentino Uomo Intense, but like stripping Valentino Uomo Intense of the strong leather note, adding a little bit more vanillic sweetness, adding a slight undertone of something like watery and aquatic, a bit more spiciness, and you'll end up with thunder. This smells very sophisticated, very nice, very dressed up. Again, for those of you who like the note of iris, this is at least a must try in my opinion. So if you like the note of iris, definitely check this one out, try it. And the last from French Avenue that I've included in today's video is part of the Zenith line, and this one is called Zenith Noir. Now the Zenith line is a little bit of a strange one from French Avenue because 3 of the 4 scents in that line are actually inspired by original Dior scents. This 4th one, Zenith Noir, is something completely different. This is inspired by a fragrance from the brand of Mont Blanc. I think it was Meister Stuck, something like that. I've never tried it, but this also reminds me of stuff like Tribute Blue from the brand of Afnan. This is a very interesting, very masculine and unique smelling scent that feels green, it feels woody, it's spicy and fresh, and at the same time has a bit of darkness, has a bit of sweetness on its dry down. It's one of those interesting, maybe slightly challenging, but very versatile, very masculine scents that work all year round, that smell fantastic, that will get you compliments, and it's just an interesting fragrance. I'm a huge fan of this scent DNA. In a way, it's done similarly to something like Bois Imperial from Essential Perfumes. Just a great fragrance overall that has really nice quality and in my experience has top-notch performance. And again, maybe because the original scent isn't that popular or for some other reason, this didn't get enough attention and I think it deserves more. Next, I'll go over some of the Lattafa releases that were underrated in my opinion in 2025. The first one was sold or released under the Lattafa Khamrah lineup, the latest flanker that's called Khamrah Dukhan. And in my opinion, this is probably the best one out of the line, and it still didn't get enough recognition, and it's still way less popular than even the original Khamrah for some reason. This is like taking the Khamrah scent DNA but adding a bit of a boozy note, adding some spiciness, some fruity sweetness, a bit of tobacco, just overall making the whole scent profile deeper, richer, more interesting, more sophisticated, more dressed up, more masculine. This just smells really, really nice, and I really wonder why this didn't get that much hype. Really nice quality. This one outperforms the original Khamrah by without any problem. Lasts longer, projects better. I think it's sold at a similar price to the original one. Just overall, it's a great release, a great flanker to the original scent, and again, for some reason, just didn't get enough talk, enough hype. I don't know why. The next one is sold under the Emrati niche lineup, and this one is called Classic Stone. I've talked about this fragrance quite a lot throughout this year, and I think I feel like I was the only one that was actually talking so much about this fragrance. This is a scent that's heavily inspired by, or not so heavily, but inspired by Parfum de Marly Altair, but this is darker, this is less aromatic, this is a more leathery, a more again sophisticated, a more masculine version of Altair. Altair is a great scent on its own, it's very likable, easy to wear, will get you compliments, but it's a little bit more on the simplistic side, to be honest, and the Classic Stone actually takes that original scent profile, it just makes it more interesting, just makes it more smelling more niche. I'm telling you this seriously, this smells like a niche version of Altair, basically. Nice quality, good performance, all that stuff, comes nicely packaged. Just a great release from Lattafa. Again, for some reason I feel like I was one of the only few creators that talked about this one so much. The next one that I'm going to talk about comes from the brand of Arabiyat Prestige. This one is called Kohl Luminous. Now, this is a fragrance that's heavily inspired by Stephanie Humbert Lucas' God of Fire, and we got one God of Fire clone that basically stole the show, and that's Vulcan Few from French Avenue, and that fragrance is great, don't get me wrong, it's a great clone of God of Fire, but there were a few other really nice clones and most of them got some coverage, and probably Kohl Luminous is one of those scents that was the most one of the most underrated colognes of God of Fire that at the same time are actually one of the two very best in my opinion, along with Vulcan Fuel. I think Neep was talking about this fragrance quite a lot. I was talking about it. I'm not really sure how many other people were actually talking about this fragrance. Now, this doesn't feel as close to God of Fire as Vulcan Fuel. This is slightly different. This is a little bit less, how to say it, less tropical. This is a little bit more vanillic, a little bit more creamy, maybe slightly more woody. But this just smells absolutely great. Arabiyat Prestige offers superb quality, as you saw, pressurized sprayer, great performance and all that. So I think this is one of the most underrated scents in general of 2025 because how good it smells and how good of a clone of God of Fire it is. The next one comes from the brand of Fragrance World. This one is sold under the name Nightclub Absolute. And this smells a lot like Creed Aventus Absolute. And in fact, out of all clones of Creed Aventus Absolute, Middle Eastern clones that I've tried, I think I've tried 4 or 5 of them, this is the one that gets the closest to the original scent. So getting a bit of that Creed Aventus scent DNA with some of the sweetness, a bit of that freshness, some of that woodiness and the mossy vibe on the dry down, but this is slightly darker, this is a little bit more fruity, a little bit sweeter. But in general, out of all clones of Creed Aventus Absolute that I've tried, this is the one that smells closest to the original scent, and again, for some reason, it just got a lot less coverage than it should, in my opinion. The quality is nice, the price tag is low, and this also has pretty decent performance, and it's one of those scents that's brought me a lot of compliments in 2025. And I'm going to finish off the video with 2 suggestions that smell very similar to each other. They come from the brands again of Fragrance World, and this one is called Oud Madness and the other one is called Exotic Oud from Gulf Orchid. Now, I've had Oud Madness for almost a year now. I was, I think, one of the very first people that ever talked about this scent, and to this day remain one of the very few that actually talk about this one. Both of these scents that I'm showing you right now are clones of Oud Maracuja from Maison Crivelli, and they smell very similar to each other and very similar to the original scent, but for some reason none of them really got a lot of attention. Now, keep in mind that I've had Exotic Oud for a few weeks only. This is one of my latest pickups. Oud Madness I've had for almost a year, but again, both of them are superb and very inexpensive clones of Oud Maracuja. They will get you in that very same vein of the original scent with the agar oud, the leather, the fruity sweetness, the rose, the ambers, the spiciness and all that stuff. They are slightly different to each other. Oud Madness feels ever so slightly more fruity. Exotic Oud feels a little bit more woody. But both of them smell really nice and smell really close to the original scent. They will cost you just a fraction of the price of the original, while at the same time they offer nice quality and strong performance. And so guys, in today's video I showed you 10 of the most underrated fragrance releases of 2025. I hope that you found today's video interesting. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me in my next video for your dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.